Secretariat on a daily, continuous basis, that whatever policy provision, policy decision has been decided is implemented closely and real time. So that is one governance area that I have observed. And then there is the operational one. For example, the last 2 years we haven't had a commission. That's an operational challenge. So that is already a risk. As we talk, that is already a risk, because certain processes are supposed to be continuous, but they have not been going on because there has not been a commission. It means we have an operational risk issue there. Then we've been having situations whereby even the commission, there is disunity. The commission, the chairman and his commissioners should be working together to achieve the objectives of the commission.
So when what solutions will you offer, if offered an opportunity as a commissioner?
Is that we should be able to work together as a team to deal with any challenges that come across, that come forward. In other words, if we have a dispute among ourselves, the country, the people should not be able to know that there is a dispute, because we should be able to have our own in-house dispute resolution protocols before we go to the public, because the moment the public starts seeing that there is disagreement, then the issue of trust and confidence goes down. And at the end of the day, those are the perceptions we want to do away with. Then operational issues, procurement issues. We had the chicken gate issues. We had the, whatever we were, in 2017 we had the chicken gate. In 2022 we had what the opposition was calling the server auction issues. The server auction issues were about where the contenders about the server were saying that apparently it is the highest bidder who is having access to the server. So these are all also issues to do with personnel. There has been accusations about what the insiders are doing. We have been having cases of lost equipment, lost KIMS kits. All those are operational issues which bring a lot of risk. Like in the last elections, we had over 900...
Yes, solutions. We are looking for solutions. Yes, you've identified quite a number. But I want to hear, what will you do differently to address those challenges?
Good consultation among ourselves, following the law in terms of procurement. Let us follow the law in terms of procurement. Let us ensure that there is integrity when it comes to acquisition of equipment and systems. There should be integrity. We should be able to consult with the stakeholders to inject the confidence in the system. For example, when you are this is a solution. When you are making a procurement of technology, involve the stakeholders, so that the stakeholders can say, we want a technology that can be able to give us these solutions. We want a technology that is auditable. We want a technology system where the stakeholders can be able to say, we do not want at the point of need to be able to be told that for you to access the server, that this is a proprietary, that there's proprietary rights. Involve the people and ensure that the process is transparent so that you deliver a credible system to deliver a credible election.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
To you, Chair.
Just to clarify his first question,
yeah.
You said you ran as a running mate?
Yes.
In 2022?
Yes.
For which position?
Governor. Kirinyaga.
It was not a Senate?
No. You cannot be a running mate to a senator, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm just trying to confirm what it is that you ran for in 2022.
Yes.
You ran for governor position.
Running mate. And in case you are looking at the exclusion clauses, the exclusion clauses only applies to members of parliament and the county assembly. It doesn't apply to the president and the governor. Maybe that is something the country should look at in terms of ensuring fairness, because I do not understand why the framers of the law decided to exempt those who are running for president or governor from the exclusion clause. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm properly, legally, and firmly before you.
Okay, I would like you to, after this, to make reference to Gazette Notice number 5519. Please just write it down. Gazette Notice 5519, and find out where your name was listed. Was it listed in the Senate or in the governor's role? Thank you. Ms. Sati, please proceed.
Initially, Mr. Chairman,
yes,
it was listed as a senator for the Senate by mistake, which I actually made the IEBC aware, and they removed it, because at the end of the day, it could have been impossible. It is a mutually exclusive position for one to have been able to vie as deputy governor or running mate when you are a senator. It's a mutually exclusive situation.
Okay, Professor
So
Adams.
I was not a candidate.
Professor Adams, please.
Chair, I rarely come at this stage, but just as a follow-up, I've requested you. You've told us that you are wondering why the framers of the Constitution excluded the president and the governor.
Yes.
I just want to, because you are a sniffer of risks.
Yes.
Would it be that the IEBC, other than facilitating the election of representatives of the people who go to the legislatures, both at the national and the county level, also facilitates the election of executives, and that therefore the exclusion, the framers of the Constitution were looking at the exclusion more from a representative perspective and not from an executive perspective, because the executives have term limits and the representatives don't have term limits, and therefore those who have term limits were excluded from the exclusion. Would that?
Probably that is what they thought, but if you ask me, there is still a problem there, because if they intended that the issue is to inject neutrality into the system, then probably anybody who participated in the election should have been included in the exclusion clause. So I believe what you have said, Professor.
So you are saying you are taking advantage of what they provide.
The law is an us. We must follow it as it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Bwana Msati.
Thanks so much, Chair. Eliud.
Yes, sir.
You have noted that from the gazettement there was an error, and such are those omissions that IEBC does. And what will you do in terms of accuracy when you be a commissioner to ensure that such errors do not happen?
Probably the use of the word error, I'm not sure whether we want to call it an error, but in order to ensure that the role is clean, because if, for example, somebody intended to vie at a certain position and then withdrew, if they did not remove from the role, then I think it is wrong. So what I would intend to do is to ensure that the system, the register of candidates, because that relates to the register of candidates actually, is inspected and audited before it is published, to ensure that what actually goes to the government printer for gazettement is actually bona fide contestants. Otherwise, it is mistakes like such as those ones that will make us have dead voters in the roll.
Are you trying to say that it was not an error? It was intentional? Because I'm actually telling you it was an error. It went ahead and got gazetted, and that is not the position you are saying.
The reason why I'm saying that is this. Because even in IEBC's system of doing things, it is technically impossible to have a situation where somebody is running for two positions. You cannot be a running mate, and at the same time, you are running as an MP. It is a mutually exclusive situation. So whatever is happening in terms of taking names to the government printer, then that lapse needs to be dealt with, because the system should be able to capture names that are appearing in both positions.
Agree with me that that was an error.
Yeah.
So now let me take you to another point.
Yes,
you
please.
have talked about the relations between the Secretariat and the commissioners.
Yes.
Historically, we have had CEOs who have had a very cordial relationship with the commissioners or the chair.
Sure.
And we have had others who have had a very stormy relations with the chair.
Yes.
Would you attribute that to a personality issue or an institutional structure?
I would actually attribute that to personality. Basically, I would look at it as a personality issue, because, you see, one of the things that we may need to look at as a commission is to depersonify the commission. For example, we've been having a situation whereby the commission is like it was synonymous with the name Chebukati, for example. So we need to depersonify that by having a situation whereby the commissioners are working together as a collective and are making consultations together before arriving at decisions that affect the operations of the commission and effectively affecting the entire country. So I would attribute it more to personality than the commission. Than the institution. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much, and wish you well. We will end up having a Sniva in the IPC.
Thank you.
Santi. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you very much. I want to invite Fatuma to ask you some questions. Ms. Fatuma, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Wanjao.
Yes, Madam.
The curricular report identified weak voter education as the key contributor to electoral violence. And also a parliamentary report in 2016 also did identify IEBC's public communication being more of reactive than proactive. So if you become a commissioner at the IEBC, how would you reorganize the stakeholder engagement and public participation to address this matter?
I would ensure that we are making consultations with all stakeholders on a real-time and continuous basis. Now, stakeholders are several. We've got the politicians, we've got the political parties, but in your case, you've mentioned the voter education. So what I would do, or what I would recommend, is a situation whereby we are involving all stakeholders in all of the processes that are going on in the electoral cycle. so that we are actually educating the stakeholders, no, the voters for this, for that matter, that it is wrong to preach hatred, it is good to participate in the election, that it is bad for any politician to intimidate you or to incite you to violence. So I would ensure that we are having regular stakeholder engagement through social media, through public barazas, and probably have in all the 47 counties, have a public relations desk in all the 47 counties to ensure that there is a continuous engagement with the stakeholders, the voters for that matter.
Apart from the regular strategy, how would you deal with the content of the voter education?
In terms of voter education, I would engage voter educators in each, across the country, that is, to update them and involve them and inform them of their rights to vote, their right not to be intimidated, and their right to participate in the election, and the importance of participating in elections in order to determine their destiny. So I would educate the voters, I would ensure the voters are well informed, well educated about their rights, so that they can participate in the process. So I would involve all stakeholders, public barazas, social media, all those aspects of public engagement, including the civil society, to educate voters on their rights. And as you have heard, I have already said that anybody who qualifies to get an ID should be able to be registered as a voter automatically. So that is one of the things that I will ensure that voters are, fully involved in the process so that they can participate in the exercise.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I want to invite Mr. Nicodemus Bore to ask you some questions, please. Nicodemus.
Yes, Mr. Wanjao.
Yes, please.
Now that you vied for Deputy Governor of Kirinyaga,
yes,
what were the results? Did you come in second, third?
Yeah, we were second.
You accepted
you
accepted the results of that election?
Initially, we had intended to lodge a petition, but we withdrew the petition. So we withdrew the petition and left it.
But so you accepted the results?
Yes.
Okay.
Effectively, yes.
In the nomination of 2017,
yes,
you vied for Governor Kirinyaga.
Yes.
Under which party?
Jubilee.
So what transpired?
I remember the nomination was actually happening in 17th of April. I even remember the day because it was a painful day. 17th of April, 2017. And I remember when we were going for the nomination, even members of my family were not in the register. So I went with the family so that we could vote, but none of them even voted. And then we had that it was building up for the last 6 months. And then you are told the whole exercise has been cancelled and rescheduled to 21st of April. So what is this that you could not do properly in 6 months that you want to do in 3 days? So, as a sniffer of risks, I decided this is a waste of time. So there's no need.
So you did not participate in the next?
I did not.
Okay. When had you joined the party?
2017, around January, 2017 January, thereabout.
Had you joined the party because you wanted to vie?
Yeah. In 2017, that is.
So you did not join the party because you liked its ideals?
At that point, it was the governing party. So I want to be very frank that when you are in a zone that is painted in a certain color, you increase your chances. Again, we go back to the sniffing of risks. Because at the end of the day, even the opposing parties did not have any better policies anyway. And that is why in the subsequent elections I decided I'll be independent.
Then I believe you, when you become a member of IEBC, you are at risk of following what the government of the day is, because you will want to, you have decided, you told us you joined Jubilee because at that time it was the governing party, and you, because you knew you might have a high chance of winning.
Mr. Chairman.
So let me before I finish. Okay. So if now that we have a ruling party like now the current Kenya Kwanza, you will follow its orders and everything, because you know there is a probability that this government will continue ruling in 2027. Isn't that dangerous?
Not at all. That is not what I'm saying. In fact, it is the opposite. That is why I want to join the commission, so that I can start disabusing those people who believe like that you have got a neutral arbiter who can actually arbitrate before contestants and arrive at a situation where the people's will is being delivered. I would want a situation whereby whoever is contesting for an election, actually, if he wins happy, and if you lose with a smile. The same way we used to convince taxpayers to pay taxes with a smile, despite the fact that they don't want to pay taxes.
Thank you, Wanjao, but I also want to inform you that the register of members of a political party is not kept by IEBC. It is kept by the registrar of political parties.
That is true. It's kept by the registrar of political parties, but IEBC has got a duty to regulate how this register is being used, and that they are actually maintaining it, because IEBC has a constitutional duty to supervise nominations.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Nginge.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Looks like you are averse to risks. You are risk averse, and I'm wondering whether this is this journey. IEBC has a lot of risks in terms of joining the commission.
Well, it has some risks. That is why only 26% of Kenyans currently trust IEBC. And this is something that we really want to drive, so that we inject trust. That is the most important thing. Whatever we do, whether we are doing procurement, hiring, public education, public engagement, whatever we are doing, that 5-lettered word, trust, should be at the bottom of whatever IEBC does.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor, please.
Eliud Wanjao Nginge.
Thanks, Professor. Thank you.
The sniffer of risks.
Thank you.
I think we can refer to you that way. Let me say that, and my colleagues will tell you, that you touched on a pet project of mine.
Yes.
But before I come to it,
yes,
I want to go to one of the issues you mentioned, which I thought is profound. That according to Article 138(3)(c) in a presidential election, after counting the votes in the polling stations, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shall tally and verify the count and declare the result. you said that as a sniffer of risks, that declaration, as affirmed by Maina Kiai, is being done by a temporary employee of IEBC. And you said that is a risk. Why so, and what would you do if you became a commissioner? So don't spend too much time on the risk element. You can just say why you said it is so, but tell us what would be your solution as a commissioner collectively to that which you have called a risk, and which indeed has always brought this country nearly to the precipice when it comes to Bomas or KICC.
I'll start with the why. The why is because the polling station is the point where the determination of the election winner or loser is happening. The finality of the election is at the polling station. Now, given that the finality is at the polling station, we are having temporary people, presiding officers, who have no, they don't have permanent contracts with IEBC. They only have a temporary attachment to IEBC. So they don't even have commitments to IEBC and the result, meaning they can easily be swayed by the candidates, meaning a mischievous candidate may not necessarily even want to look at what is happening after.
Solution.
The solution is ensure you come up with a well-trained electoral officials database. Ensure that these people are well-trained, well-advised about the risks of tampering with what is happening at the polling station, because a mischievous candidate will target the polling station and the system. So ensure you have got properly trained people who are properly advised that any wrongdoing at the polling station, whether you are a temporary person, that you will face criminal investigations and attendant consequences.
Article 138(2) says, if two or more candidates for president are nominated, an election shall be held in each constituency. The interpretation of that is that in each constituency, the polling stations shall go, the Kamkunji polling stations, the Ijara polling stations, the Kieni polling stations, for the sake of the presidential election, they do a tallying. And what they bring to Bomas or KICC is the tallied results of the polling stations declared therein. As a risk sniffer, and looking at our Elections Act, given that that's the first point of tallying and declaration, and the Constitution is already saying that the form filled at the constituency, the collation will be of the 290 constituencies. As a risk sniffer, and looking at our Elections Act, what is amiss? And remember, NADCO has an Elections Act pending. In Parliament.
Thank you, Professor. I'll go back to the same problem at the polling station. Because what is being tallied by the at the constituency level, the 290 constituencies, has come from the polling station. So let me assume, for the purposes of answering your question, let me assume that I am a mischievous candidate who wants to interfere with the tally at the constituency level. And because I know the tally at the constituency level will not be questioned, because the finality is at the polling station, then I must do whatever I need to do at the polling station. In other words, we are having 46,229 polling stations. Many of the candidates do not have the resources to man all those polling stations because it's a lot of money. So what can you do? If you are a mischievous candidate, I will target the polling station and then ensure that the results that are coming from the polling station, because there is a risk here, that the result at the polling station is also, if I'm having ghost polling stations and ghost voters, then I can redirect some of the results to the server to ensure, because not everybody is having agents at those polling stations, then I will be able to monitor and compromise the system at that level to ensure that what the server is receiving.
Solution.
The solution, we go back to the polling station and the system. The solution is at two levels, the polling station and the system.
Would you, now that the Constitution says that at 138C, tally, verify, and declare, since the Constitution doesn't say the same for the constituency tallying, as a risk sniffer, would you rather the Elections Act says tally, verify, tally, and declare? Because remember, you have only declared at the polling station. At the constituency, you are just promptly announcing. So it doesn't have a finality.
Exactly. So there is...
as a check, should the Elections Act say, because the polling stations is already declared, when the returning officer, who's the final one, who comes to the final tallying center, should not just announce, should declare, because what is collating is already declared.
In fact, that is why I said that in the current infrastructure, you are having a situation whereby the presiding officer or the person at that constituency polling center is more consequential than the chairman of IEBC.
Thank you very much. Let's go to my pet subject, which you invited me to. Usually I invite myself to it, but you have invited me to it. You made a statement, very profound, that the server and the portal were different. Substantiate.
Mr. Chairman, the server, let's look at it this way. I have got a brain, but you cannot see it. So the brain is the server. If I decide to turn left or right, that is the portal. It is the brain that is instructing my head to turn left or right. So the server is the back-end infrastructure of the system. So somebody who wants to interfere with what you see in the portal, because the portal is a public-facing web-based platform. So in other words...
Repeat that, because we want the public to understand.
Yes.
One is web-based and one is?
The server is the back-end infrastructure of the system. It's like the brain. In other words, if you have got fake polling stations, you can interfere with what the server is transmitting to the portal. You can actually instruct the portal to show only what you intend to do. And that is why I talked about the auditability of a system. The auditability of a system is a situation whereby people who are looking at the system should be able to have access to the system, be able to appreciate who logged when, what time, and what did he do. Because...
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are not an IT expert, are you?
No, but I have thoroughly schooled myself in IT issues.
So when IEBC officials and former IEBC members tell us that the server and the portal are the same. You are challenging that.
It is absolutely not the same. Completely, it's absolutely not the same. The server cannot be the same as the portal.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Prof.
The sniffer of risks. I'm sure that you've been in KRA. You are a man of vast knowledge, even an area that you are not an expert in. You are ready to say you have schooled yourself in that. And by the way, I agree with you. I'm also not an IT expert, but I've always not agreed with the way the server has been described, just from a commonsensical perspective. Name any 3 stages outlined in the 1999 East African Community Treaty towards its integration process. Just any 3.
Any 3 stages towards integration?
Yes.
Common currency, free movement of citizens, political federation. Those are 3.
Okay. You are a man versed in public finance.
Yes.
Name 3 principles of public finance under Chapter 12 of the Constitution.
Under Chapter 12 of the Constitution, public finance.
Principles.
The principles of public finance: equity.
Go ahead.
Equity, impact, and accountability in relation to dealing with public finances.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nginge, for your time. We have truly enjoyed interacting with you and getting to know you. And we wish you well. I don't know whether you have any question or a comment to make so that we can conclude this session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You will allow me to ask a question and make a concluding statement. Am I allowed?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman and members of your commission and members of your panel, at the end of the exercise, you will be submitting 2 names for the chairman and 9 names for the member positions to the president for appointment. Do you think, under the same principles of neutrality, that is a fair thing in terms of what the law says, or it should be amended? Because you are having a situation whereby the president will pick XYZ and drop XYZ and is under no obligation under the law to make an explanation of why he dropped X and picked Y. That is my question. And then you may not answer, but
I may not be able to speak to the fairness of it, whether it is or not. But the laws in Kenya are made through National Assembly and public participation. So it is the laws that Kenyans have ventilated on, and so we follow the will of the people of Kenya. And so that's what is legislated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So, by way of closing statement, I want to thank you, members, Mr. Chairman and your team. What you are having before you is a very important assignment that is very important to how our country and democracy proceeds. Please give us a commission that reflects, that can be able to build trust in the system so that everybody feels the need to go and vote because of the increased levels of trust in the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Blessings to you. Remember to pick your folder. There are certificates. It should be at the door. You have some water there, and the notebook is yours. Blessings to you and wish you well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and your fellow.
Asante. Asante, thank you. Thank you. Can we get the next candidate, please? Erastus Edung Lokale Esokon.